and Asia. They actually probably originated from Africa. So he's just around the corner. You guys are doing a great job of being incredibly patient and also being really quiet. But he is one of the cutest things in the world. That room that we have right there is a room that we call our green room. This is our presentation area, so our animals get ready in that room. Our green room has changed quite a bit in the last week or two. So there's a lot to explore in there, so I'm sure there was a couple of things that he had to look at before he came out here so he can explore what's in here. But like I said, as he comes out, you'll kind of notice that back left leg that I said that he kind of holds a little bit weirdly. But this is Gordie. So like I was saying, despite them not living in Africa now, lynxes probably originated in Africa. And then a really long time ago, when Europe and Africa were smushed together, they went over to Europe, eventually crossed over into North America with the Bering Strait, and then eventually became extinct in Africa. So one of the things that we like to do with our animals is give them a little safe space if they ever feel like they need it. Eventually he'll hopefully feel a little bit more comfortable and calm and play out. He might hide for a little while he makes sure that the room is safe for him. And then hopefully he'll feel a little bit more comfortable interacting with everything that's around. Can let me know if there's a different place that I'm using or anything.
Yeah.
Sweet. So we talked about how they originated from Africa, but all of these lynxes have a couple of characteristics that you guys probably already noticed when you're looking at them. These guys, including bobcats, are known for their short stubby tail, which is why they're called bobcats. They're known for those little ear tufts that they have on those ears, which ups their cute factor by like a lot. And those really big paws. So we'll kind of talk about those characteristics a little bit. So like I said, they have that short stubby tail. Canada lynxes and bobcats look very similar, but one of the biggest way to tell whether it's a Canada lynx or a bobcat is by looking at that tail. Canada lynxes have a fully black tipped tail. So that's one of the biggest things you can look at to tell what kind of lynx it is. Their tail is a lot shorter than other cats' tails. Scientists don't know exactly why, but for the most part, they think it's kind of a use it or lose it kind of deal. A lot of cats use their tail for balance and are really good climbers because of that. These guys are really good climbers, but they don't need to climb in order to survive. They didn't really need to have to do that to be able to survive. So they don't really need that tail for balance. So over time, they just didn't have a tail. They weren't really using it, so they didn't really have a need for it. So it got shorter and shorter until it was just a little tiny stub. So they have those ear tufts as well. Like I said, makes them look insanely adorable. Same thing, scientists don't know exactly why those ear tufts exist. There's a lot of hypotheses out there. One hypothesis is that it helps them with communication. If you guys have cats at home, you know that they communicate a lot with their ears, and those ear tufts might kind of exaggerate some of those things that they're trying to communicate. Another hypothesis is that it might help with their hearing. These guys have insanely good hearing. And they also have cool ears too. When he hopefully comes out, you'll notice that on the back of his ears, he has these big white spots. Scientists think that those big white spots on the back of his ears can help ward off predators or things that are trying to come after him. They also think that those big eye spots could help little young kittens follow their moms when they're out and about. So a lot of things about lynxes are still kind of a mystery, still kind of being discovered.
They are willing to cheat. Did you see them looking out the side? I covered that back up. It's like, oh, you've got to come out if you want to look at stuff.
There's also this toy too that they thought that.
Yeah.
I thought it looked fun. So you
Right.
as well. Our cats love it. One thing I usually kind of warn people about during the beginning of my presentations, especially with him, I don't talk about him often, so sometimes I do a lot of mental jumping back and forth from fact to fact, so bear with me, thank you guys. But we were talking about their different characteristics. They have that bobtail, they have those little ear tufts that make them really cute. Oh, and those really big paws. So these guys have massive paws that they almost use as like snowshoes when they're walking around, especially when you're a lynx that lives, further up north where there is a lot of ice and snow that you do need to snowshoe kind of through.
He is looking at it. For those who cannot see him, he's very interested. Try up on top of the tiles right there. See if he will get it all interested in that. away. Besides feeling secure in there, Suri will tell you a little bit about, stalk and ambush. Because like, it starts with an I will tell you about. So they do like, and any cat owner knows too, that cats like to sort of like stay a little bit hidden and a little bit still. Look, he likes his little platform. We try to do something new every single time. It doesn't have to all be brand new. I think he knows this box over here. He definitely knows this great. But we were recognizing day before yesterday, 2-3 days ago, that he does like to get up on top of things that are sturdy. So, sorry, Sue, go ahead.
Oh, you were good. I was just about to say, so one of the things he usually does as soon as he enters his room is he stops right there and he sharpens his claws. He didn't do that, but he got up there and did it, so still follow tradition, which is good. But these guys are incredibly good hunters. Lynxes are apparently able to spot a mouse from like 250 feet away. We have never tested that, but that's what National Geographic said, so I believe them. But they're really good hunters. And these guys all are ambush predators. So like a lot of other carnivores, like the cougar, like the alligator, these guys aren't necessarily chasing after their prey. They are also just called sit and wait predators. So again, they're really good at camouflage, especially if you were to go more up north, you'd be like a lighter color, so you can blend in with that snow. So you just kind of sit and wait there, and you wait for his prey to come closer and closer to him. I don't think that's something I've seen before. That's really cute.
We do put different scents on things sometimes, but the last time we did it, he completely ignored it. I don't know what this shoot was up to before we folded it right there.
I found it on that side of the room, and I was like, honey, will like this, but I don't know what smell it has on it.
This isn't the one that was on
I didn't
Ella's,
step it.
right? Was it? Was it? I don't know.
Oh, it could be. It was on, yeah, just hanging out on the bookshelf over there. Eddie.
Nobody likes it.
He's gonna kill it.
He's marking it too, his nose.
Yep.
And
Oh,
when
look
he
at his
sharpens his
little
claws,
toe-toe.
he's also marking.
And when he holds it like that with his back feet, he's eviscerating it.
Exactly.
Tell them
He
about
still
the,
tries
tell them
with them.
about the fennel bulb yesterday with the other one.
Oh yeah, there is another, so one of the rescue pages that I can't remember where they are, with one of their lynxes, they give them fennel bulbs all the time. And so finally I showed it to Kim, and she we got a fennel bulb donated, weirdly enough that day. And she took it and gave it to Nanai, our other lynx. And you should ask her to show you the video afterwards, but he loved it.
He did love it.
Wow.
Typically doesn't rub his face all over things, like Gordie is doing right now. He did it with a fennel bulb, which is really cute to watch, just because it was so different for him.
Is he shedding now, Sheree?
What do you feed him?
Great question. So he is an obligate carnivore, so a lot of meat. The base of his diet is something called Nebraska premium diet, and that resembles what he would be, for the most part, eating in the wild as well, but it's just whole organisms that are just ground up with each other. So that's how he gets all his nutrients, all his proteins, everything he needs in order to be healthy. But it just kind of looks like hamburger meat. And if you were to eat that every single day, you would get pretty bored. So we supplement that a lot with different kinds of meat. Out of our 3 cats here though, Gordie is the pickiest. Our other 2 cats will just kind of, for the most part, eat anything. He does not eat mostly everything. He doesn't really like ground things, like ground beef or ground chicken, ground turkey is not his jam. He gets a lot of just kind of, yeah, just like turkey breast or chicken or beef, venison. Those are the 4 things he likes.
Does he like the liver? I can't remember.
I can't remember either. Nanai does, but I don't know if this guy does. But we were talking about him hunting. Like I said, he is just a sit and wait predator. So he would just sit there and kind of blend in with his surroundings and then wait until his prey is close enough to him. And then that's when he would reach out and grab it by the throat. And like I said, they are really good hunters. They're really good at finding their food, mostly through vision. These guys have really good vision. And just like your cats at home, he's looking for movement. So again, like with your cats at home, or even like what you guys saw over here, if you shoot a feather in front of them or anything moves, they're instantly attracted to it. And this guy's the same way. So as soon as he sees something move, he kind of goes into that stalking mode, hides, and just wait until that object is close enough to him. And that's when, like I said, he jumps out and grabs it. But one of the things that I was looking up was actually about their eyesight. So the word lynx I forgot what root it is, but actually means light or brightness, and that was because of their eyes, because of their reflective eyes. And even in like a lot of mythology, like Greek mythology and North American mythology, these guys were known to have like supernatural vision, that like they were able to even see through solid objects. So the significance of lynxes was apparently they were able to like unravel hidden truths and were psychic and clairvoyant and all of these things. Gordie is really cute, but he is none of those things. But there's even a constellation that was named Lynx, not technically after these guys, but apparently the stars in that constellation are just so faint that it was said that you have to have the eyesight of a lynx to be able to see that constellation, which I thought was all really neat. But one of the things that I was going to talk about with their hunting and what they eat, so what they eat out in the wild is mostly snowshoe hares. Typically, a lot of carnivores are just kind of generalist carnivores. They're not too picky on what they're eating. But Canada lynxes are known to mostly eat snowshoe hares out in the wild. At some point, we all took biology, and at some point they taught us about ecology and prey-predator cycles. And most likely, the example that you read about in your old biology textbook back then was about these guys, was about Canada lynxes. Canada lynx populations and snowshoe hare populations are incredibly dependent on one another. As soon as the snowshoe hare population goes up, Canada lynx populations go up. As soon as the snowshoe hare populations go down, these guys will move to a different area and actually have a smaller litter size as well. So their litter size is dependent on food availability. If there's not that much food available, their litter sizes will be small. If there is a lot of food available, their litter sizes will be big. So they can have a litter size anywhere from 1 to about 8 cubs. And again,
much
it's
more
all
relaxed this time.
dependent on their food. Their home range is also just dependent on how much food is available. A long time ago, when they were just tracking Canada lynxes through prints in the snow, they thought their home range was just up to like 20 square miles. But then technology improved, radio telemetry became a thing, and we just got better at collecting data. And then they found out that their home ranges ranged anywhere from 3 to 300 square miles, and it just all depended on food availability, and mostly on snowshoe hare populations. So obviously they move a lot out in the wild, potentially, and we want to make sure that our animals, especially like him, have a lot to do here as well. So we do a lot of enrichment, and that's just a fancy word of describing anything that we give to them or do with them that improves their physical and mental health. So that can be a lot of like toys, a lot of objects, a lot of boxes. Cats love boxes, as we all know. It can be a lot of food enrichment. So there's actually cat treats that are kind of sprinkled out here that he eats from time to time. But that can just be giving him different types of food or giving him his food in different ways that he has to work for it a little bit. We don't do too much training with this guy just because he is a little bit more on the timid side, but with a lot of our other cats, they get a lot of their food through training. So something to always keep them active. So like Kim was saying, that whenever we come out for playtime in this room, we always have to try to have something different, so that way he's never getting the same thing over and over and over again, because we would get bored of that too. He finally realized that there's people here.
Mm-hmm.
He was like doing his own thing, and then he's like, wait, there's people staring at me.
He looks less fluffy this time. Has he been shedding?
All of our animals are definitely kind of getting ready for spring, so a lot of shedding. Some of our animals are starting to eat a little bit less because they just don't need as much fat.
Yeah, he even seemed grayer last time, don't you think?
Yes, yeah.
Very long, isn't it?
He's much more relaxed this time.
Are they solitary animals?
They are solitary. People have every now and then seen them in groups only to get food, but other than that, they hang out by themselves. But yeah, like I said, so Gordie kind of lives over here right now. The initial intent when we got him was we were going to do this big fundraiser to fundraise money to expand his outdoor area, and it was like literally the next month or so that the pandemic hit, so that plan kind of went out the window for now. But hopefully we're going to do one big upgrade this summer, and just give him a lot more area out there, and then just kind of like the plan with most of our enclosures is upgrade as we go along. So you guys being here and buying a ticket to be here helps us with things like that. So thank you.
How old is he?
Ooh, he will be 3 in about a month and a half. Yeah. Sorry, what month are we in?
March.
April. Yeah, early May is his birthday, so it'll be great.
Any other questions that you guys have about him? He's pretty
So
cute.
he was born in Amsterdam.
Yeah. He came to us via the Columbus Zoo, but I don't think he was born there.
Fort Wayne.
Wayne.
Zoo, that's right.
I'm sorry if you already said this, but how old do they usually live to?
So in the wild, about 15. In captivity, they can live to about 20. Yeah, so he's still on the younger side. He was a lot not a lot smaller when he first got here, but a lot more.
He was a lot smaller.
He was a lot smaller.
He was a lot smaller. Wasn't he only like 12 pounds or something?
I don't
And he's 38
remember.
now. He was scrawny. They also had to shave his front right leg because that's where the IVs would go in when he was having his surgeries and things. So he came to us with a bare naked leg and bare naked chest and stuff. And we quickly realized that he was famished. And so he ate quite healthily for a long time. They don't really reach their full physical maturity until
2 or 3 years old.
Yeah. So yeah, this is probably as big as he will ever be, size-wise and weight-wise.
He's very
He was also a lot more, I don't know what the word for it is, but like we would go in there and he would lay in our lap for a bit. He will not do that now, but nor do I want to do that now. Any other questions, kids? Yeah.
Would he be able to hunt normally with his leg like that?
If he were wild.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have survived if he were out in the wild. So lucky for him, he was born in captivity, but yeah, I don't think he would be a very great hunter.
They've got to do a lot of leaping. These guys can take birds out of air in flight and stuff. But they have to be able to. They don't get as close to their prey as a mountain lion would. A mountain lion doesn't really want to chase things down. These guys can do a certain amount of like moving after their prey, but his main problem is the jumping.
Yeah.
I would say.
And what are the predators of lynxes in the wild? Roughly?
So I heard coyotes are one big one.
Any bigger cat, a mountain lion or a bear would take them out. Not to eat. Predators don't tend to eat other predators, but they would take them out if they were like in their space and eating for food and stuff. And they probably eat him once they caught him. But.
Yeah. Mary, did you have?
Is he one of the kinds of cats that likes water? Does he like to play in water?
Our other lynx really likes water.
He likes water.
Good answer.
That wasn't really an answer.
We used to bring a little kiddie pool in here and we would put a couple of inches of water in it and he would get in there. One reason that our Eurasian lynx likes water is because on those 80 to 90 to 100 degree days, he loves a freshly filled pool. We'll usually leave it in there for 2 or just 3 days because then it starts to grow algae, so we'll pull it out from there, but he does love to get in there and just cool down. He just lounges in it. It's really nice. Clear up to his shoulders as deep as the kiddie pool is.
Gordie likes to swat at water.
On display? I mean, can you?
Yeah, so Nanai, if you're here during the daytime, you guys are welcome to come any day of the week and check out our outdoor animals for free. And if you go back to our main building, if you're looking at our building, he's on the right-hand side for now. In about hopefully 2 months or something like that. He'll be moving to his permanent and then he'll be inside. And he'll be viewable on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah. Has he ever caught
I know.
a mouse or a bird in his enclosure?
Not that I know of. I've seen our other cats catch things. People ask us all the time if we give our animals live prey, which we don't, just because there's safety and ethical reasons. But sometimes a bird flies in and doesn't fly out again. I don't think I've ever seen him I've seen him try. I've seen like mice or something run across in his outdoor enclosure, and I see him like get excited. But yeah, I don't think I've seen him successfully do it.
He's just lounging. He's just like, thank you all for coming to let me lounge. Hey, kitty cat.
Which, yeah, thank you guys for being so great. Like I said, he's not used to doing this in front of big groups of people. So every time he comes out here, every time he has a great time and goes back feeling like, all right, that wasn't scary at all. The more likely he is to come and do things.
Watch out for the rock.
And he obviously doesn't care, which is preferable. We want him to just not care.
Yeah, we do.
Really cute, boy. Just be really cute. Little jelly.
Do you guys pet him? Or does he need touching?
With all of our kind of carnivores and dangerous animals, it's all on their terms. So with all these guys, we might stick our hand out or anything like that, and they can come rub themselves on us, or they will initiate the contact. So once the animal has initiated contact, then we'll pet them for a couple seconds, and then we stop, and then we ask the animal to reinitiate. And that just kind of makes sure that we're not accidentally crossing their boundaries. So we do pet him, but all on his terms.
But they do need some sort of contact, you know?
When they're babies, 100%. When they grow up, they're solitary, so they're not craving it as much as they used to. That's why I said, like, when he first came here, he would sit in our laps and things like that. He doesn't really want that anymore. So whenever we do touch him, whenever he does ask to be touched, it lasts for seconds. And then he goes off and he does his own thing.
At this time of year, he does like to be brushed a little bit. He's got one of those brushes with sort of the rubbery pointed tips that are supposed to get out that fine fur. And he will stand facing away from us and just let us brush him back and forth. But again, after 5 or 10 of those, you stop to make sure, and he kind of like backs into your legs with his going. So you do that, but anybody who's interacted with even a domesticated cat knows that there's a certain point when they're done, and if you don't pay attention, you're in trouble. If you get in trouble with this guy, he's very quick, as all cats are. His claws are a lot longer and sharper, so we pay very careful attention, and like Sturdy says, we let him initiate continuation of any of that brushing and stuff, and it's probably 20 strokes is all he really wants, and pretty much just along his sides and his back, but not down his legs, not on his belly or anything like that. He can take care of that himself. Cats' tongues have those barbs on them that are sort of scoop shaped and pointed at the tip, and scientists have discovered not that long ago that the different species of cat with different lengths of fur, those little barbs on their tongue are different lengths that correlate to the type of fur that they've got, so that it can get down in there and basically scoop out the dirt from between the hairs and from their skin itself. Sorry. Go on. So yeah, he can do a lot of that himself, but what we do need to provide for the cats in the spring like this, when they do start grooming themselves, is plenty of grasses, because they'll eat that, and that either brings the fur balls back out, or it helps the fur pass on through with the grass. And so that's something, he's got access to grass all the time. Then I also has access for Harper, the big cat who needs it most. We have to actually go and get big hunks of turf for her and set it up in her enclosure so that she can eat that. Her hairballs are very impressive.
Do they interact with each other, like lynxes together, or?
Certainly not one-on-one,
Okay.
but Nanai, it's been a little while since he's done this, but we've put him on lead and we walk him into the building. He does presentations with us on the stone stage. He's on 2 leads the whole time. But he would love to stop in front of Harper the cougar's window. For anybody who's been out back, you know where that is. The wall, I guess the windows start about yay high. And they would play with each other through the windows, and it was a pouncy, stalking sort of like leaping thing. And the other place, and I would duck down, Harper would hide, and then one of them would leap. We have to usually wait for Harper to come up to the front. And it looked, and our head trainer very very definite on this, and she said they're having fun, there's no antagonism here, they're not upset with each other at all, and it was really clear to anybody who knows cats very well, was able to see that they were actually just having fun with each other. That's the most contact they've had, is just, in fact, they would rub their faces on the glass together, so the big cat would rub her face, and the little cat would, I think Nanai is the one who finally sort of was like, I don't need to see that cat anymore. Go look at the kangaroo again. Then I always like to go look at the kangaroo.
Mary, do you want to prop the door open in case he does decide that they can move?
So the one other time that we did this, the coming out was not an issue, the coming out here being cute and playing was not an issue. The going back, he didn't want to. It's obviously preferable. I mean, this is what we try to do with most of our animals with our presentations. We want them to come out here and we want them to have a good time. We don't want presentations to be spooky or scary or anything like that.
He opens that door locked.
Oh gosh, we changed all the locks in this building. I think just the Ed building. Oh, yeah.
Like, come on, humans.
Sorry, Gordie, you're not going anywhere.
But we want all of our animals to come out here and have a great time and be stress-free. But the issue that we run into most with that is they don't want to leave the presentation area because this is where the good things happen, which again is preferable to the alternative.
Where did Mary go?
So what I'm trying to say is this might take a while.
Why don't you declaw?
That's a great question. So the declawing process for cats is actually taking off kind of like their first digit. So it's something that in the long run can physically hurt him and can cause a lot of behavioral issues as well. And it's not natural for him. He does a pretty good job of keeping those short. So with a lot of cats, if you do declaw them, they don't have kind of like their primary defenses, so they can kind of go to their secondary defense, so he might be quicker to bite, things like that. And we've never had an issue where he aggressively strikes at us, as long as we continue to respect his boundaries.
Did you just rub on that rock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, wait a minute, that's hard.
Do you guys, trim their, do you do any, exams or, trimming or teeth cleaning or anything like that?
Yeah, with this guy, we haven't had the need to. One of the things that we're in the process of talking about is just that back paw, because that's the only one that he can't trim on his own. So worst case scenario would be just, anesthetizing him and taking care of it that way.
Yeah, I would assume you have to put them down and stuff like that too.
Yeah, it depends. With our other cats, like Harper the cougar, she is completely trained, and that's one of the other benefits of training. She's trained to let us reach through the bars, give her a physical checkup. She was in the process of learning to keep her mouth open so we can check out the conditions of her teeth. She's vaccine trained and it's all consent-based, so we ask her to present her hip. And she pushes her hip towards us, and that's her saying, all right, go ahead and poke me. I know I'm going to get treats and playtime afterwards. So there's a lot that you can just accomplish through training, so you don't have to go through that whole process of just kind of putting them to sleep. The biggest issue with this guy is he's not super food motivated. Our cougar loves food, so it's easy to do training with her. He doesn't seem to care about food as much.
Why does he only have to have one need and the other cats have to have two?
Yeah, so he, number one, just has never shown any, I'm trying to itch with that, but he's never shown any incredibly aggressive behaviors. He's also just a lot smaller of a cat. Nanai, the other lynx, when he was a smaller cat, he would just be handled by one person. As he got bigger and as his behavior started to change a little bit, as he became, I was about to say becomed. What happens when you hang out with kids too much? When he became more of like an adolescent, he got started to get a little bit more resource guardy. So his behaviors just changed a little bit, and with him we just felt more comfortable having two people walk him rather than just one. And it'll be same case with this guy. We'll just kind of assess him on an ongoing basis in the future if for some reason he decided that, if he showed us any concerns that he would become a two-person cat as well.
No, I'm a sweetheart. I'm a sweetheart.
Very shy. I like the vibe.
So you need to thank him? Yeah. Okay, you can just pay him while looking at him.
Remember back, Scott?
He is fixed.
Can you purr?
Yeah. So he's still part of the small cat family. So he does a lot of purring. Our
Oh,
other
he's
cats
good.
vocalize a lot. He doesn't seem to vocalize as much. The only real vocalizations I've heard him do is purr, and he makes this sound when he's like excited about something, like when he knows we're about to go on a walk and we're taking our sweet time, like setting up his PlayStation. He'll make these kind of like yelpy noises to be like, hurry up. We're like, I'm ready, let's go. That's all I can think of. I don't know if you've heard anything else, Kim.
I have, but I don't know how to describe them, so I like what you said. I can't imitate him. What would you say, Mary? What would you say, Sean? We hear him quite a bit in the late afternoons. He will make some noises like, hey, could somebody come and do something? Does everybody remember? I would like to play today. This is one reason he doesn't get to play every day. There's other animals to feed. But yeah, it is hard to describe them. They're not meows, for sure.
I've heard domestic cats only developed meowing to communicate with humans.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah.
The closest, Harper the cougar, the closest sound that she makes to a meow is for attention.
I noticed he likes to back the window. Like, hey, he likes to look in the window occasionally and yowl as well.
Like today, when we were getting ready. Yeah. Come on, he's a good boy.
It's funny too, his first regular appearances in this classroom for a big group like this was last October for our Spooky Species program. And was it the first night? It was the first night. He wouldn't come out. So normally we walk in with the lead and the collar and he sees it and he's like, oh, I know what's about to happen. And he'll walk over, not like right up to you, but he'll walk right there and he lets you put it around his neck. And that day he was a little weirded out and he went under one of his benches. But I'm pretty sure that's a no. So we waited for like 5 solid minutes and he would not come out from the bench. And the very next night was another presentation. Maybe it was a couple days later, I can't remember, calendar for October. And I went in again, everything else out here was still the same number of people, same music being played and all this kind of stuff. And part of him sort of said, I get to choose no if I don't want to go. And that's nice to know. I'm comforted by that. And so I can go ahead and go because anytime I don't want to go. I don't think he's refused since then.
No,
I think he's come out every other time. And that's really nice that he's had that one experience of saying, I am under here. We never try to chase him down to put the collar on. He has to say that he wants to do it. And he has done it every time since then. So it's nice because he got that experience of saying no and being respected for it.
The day I came to take reference photos, I was in his enclosure and he'd go out and then turn around and look at me through the glass. So I'd go out and then he'd go in and turn around and look at me through the glass. So all the pictures I took were through this glass with nose prints on them.
This exciting box. This is so exciting.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and
What's
remove
over here?
in the sheet? We'll remove some of the fun.
Box is there, nobody.
What they doing in there?
He's got a major side eye going on. I don't know if you guys on the side can see it. He's like, really?
He's definitely more relaxed this time.
Yeah.
More relaxed this time than the last time.
Yeah.
A lot more relaxed, right?
Yeah.
He came out, he played, and then he sat there and just looked at everybody. And I think, yeah, that's what
And then he was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, he saw Jane and he kind of,
Oh, that's right. He spotted her from
like-
the outside. He's like, I know her. I know Jane.
Where's she?
She's the one with the hose. Yeah, I'm the hose lady.
So he
Hi.
seems to be fine with everybody except for one person. And that is Steve. Steve's the guy who was the founder of this place. Steve also is the main construction guy of the place, and that usually means that you make a lot of loud, scary noises sometimes. So I actually don't know if Steve was doing a lot of construction or just Gordie was just like, I hate you. Sometimes they do that. Sometimes they pick you and they're like, I don't like you for no reason at all. But yeah, for some reason this guy really doesn't like Steve. So whenever we do one of these walks, whenever we bring him into this room, we radio out to Steve so he knows not to come into this room. Because Gordie's demeanor just immediately changes when Steve's there.
What does he do?
I have actually never seen it. I kind of saw it once just when Steve passed and Gordie just got really big and kind of charged the fence. I don't know if you've seen it, Kim, but Steve says, yeah, he'll get really big, go up and start like pawing at the bars and everything.
So was it because Steve was involved with his neutering? Or was that a different
that's the case
animal?
with some of our other
Okay.
animals, like our warthog does not like Steve.
Oh, that was the
exactly
one, yeah.
for that reason. Steve was part of the neutering process. Anyone would hate Steve for that. So I don't know exactly what it is with this guy.
But Bo is the only one, like Steve's the only one that can really pull, right? The ray gun?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's animals that love Steve here too, so.
Oh, you can see baby.
You're so tired.
One of the things that we talk about with our other cats too is that they just have a small gas tank, and again, they're ambush predators. They're not like a pursuit predator like cheetahs are. They don't have the endurance. So even out in the wild, their activity comes in kind of short bursts. And same thing with our cats' activities here. They come in short bursts. So they come, they play, and they do this.
What's nice though tonight is he's not panting. This is a lot warmer. He's got an open doorway in there, so he's got those below freezing temperatures in there when it's below freezing. And a lot of times he'll come out here and after 5 or 10 minutes he's got his mouth open because this is a lot warmer than his enclosure. But he's very relaxed tonight. Seems to be enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Some could say too much. She's moving everything slowly.
What are you doing? I'm not done.
I'm not taking the hint. I'm not taking the hint. I want to hang out. You got the cool.
He's like, I'm on stage.
I'm not
Hey, Gordie. Oh, good boy. Good boy.
Bye, Gordie. Oh, no.
Yeah, our cats can interbreed and then they will put their mates.
That's what they call them in America.
Yeah.
But you can say it's just a genetic.
Yeah. So not a real mate, but yeah,
One of the nice things when he was younger is they, they're still with their moms, they're still with their brothers and their sisters, and they are used to traveling as a group. So when we would practice these when he was younger, we'd all come out as a group, and he's like, oh, we're going out, and we'd all go in as a group, and he'd be like, oh, we're all going in now. Now that he's an adult, and they can be solitary and wild, he just does his own thing. He's like, the group can do whatever, I'm doing this right here.
did the engineer ever come back with the remote control meatball?
Ooh,
No,
I wasn't even
we
gonna tell
haven't
you
heard
this.
from him.
He was so sure his students could do it.
He was, wasn't he? I thought that was great. I thought we hit the jackpot here. I guess it takes a little while. We haven't tested it and everything.
Well, it's gotta have a digestible power source.
Yes.
What's going on with the dog?
The last Kate night when Gordie was out, I was saying somebody could get very wealthy by making a remote control, fully edible meatball. Because all the big zoos, all the small zoos, we would definitely buy a ton of those so that our animals could practice that chase behavior that they never get to really practice. They do it when they're kittens, they'll still chase things. But once they're this age, they're kind of slightly interested, but they don't really do much more chasing. And yeah, we had an engineer teacher from Skyline High School.
Skyline, I think, yeah.
And he said he had a group of kids and their project was to design something and even apply for a patent and stuff. And so we went through a few of the specifications. He wanted it to be something that the animal would be able to pass through his system if he ate it. And I said our veterinarian would not let anything foreign go into the cat, so it's gotta be edible or biodegradable in some sense. It's gotta.
Not to mention having to dissect the, to
Make
get
make
the
sure
thing
we
out.
got it back out, yeah, yeah. That, I think he was gonna go ahead with the small idea. Maybe he thought, well, the Creature Conservancy might not allow it, but some big zoo somewhere.
Might, yes.
Or really big cats, the lions and tigers could eat it.
Little piggy.
Anything over there? So my job on his lead is pretty much to be invisible as far as he's concerned, so I don't get to like do too much playing. I was moving a few things around the room today, but, somebody, Sean or Mary or somebody, else has got the placement, yeah, see if he's in on it.
I see some twitches.
Yeah, they are. What do you think, Kit Kat? Where'd all your stuff go?
You ready to go see? You ready to go see? Yeah. What are you guys doing this? Oh, where'd it go?
Last time here, did we actually have people stand up and start to move, or did
No.
No.
He
No,
left.
no,
we
He
did
left.
it that
He
way.
left.
You want us to move?
What do you think, Judy?
Well, you guys have some painting to get to.
Why don't we have this first row of people just very slowly and quietly stand and filter into that room, just stay, pretty much right up against your benches. It may very well be that that's enough to send him. I think if the whole room did, he would freak out. So, but if we do the first row, do you think that sounds good? Okay.
We'd also just, get him used to people moving around.
And when he doesn't have an audience, maybe he'll see the people.
Whoa, they have legs. Look at that. Expanding wings. What the heck?
Got big cat energy.
He does have good cat energy.
Now,
Thank you.
I've seen elephants, cats.
If you guys want to kind of do the same thing, just as quietly as you can, get up and hug the wooden area, and kind of hug the benches, that'd be awesome. He's definitely keeping an eye on a little spook, but he knows that going home is an option.
yes, that look must be this fascinating.
Not towards the home.
I know. That's the weird part. Let's wait for a minute after this to see if it comes out a little bit, 'cause he's a little weirded out. You're okay, we can just go home and then we won't have to put up with anymore. Let's just go in the other room.
Bye.
Oh.
Okay, where we go?